I live in a small, cozy house nestled in a quiet town. It's not fancy, but it's perfect for me. Living alone, it fits my needs and budget. The house has a certain charm. Its whitewashed exterior and neatly trimmed lawn make it a quaint, inviting spot amidst the more modern buildings around it. The neighborhood is peaceful, and the people are friendly, making it a pleasant place to call home. One evening, after a particularly grueling day at work, I came home later than usual, around 8 or 9. As I pulled into the shared driveway, the sight that greeted me was unexpected. The house next to mine, the one I rarely paid much attention to, had its front door wide open. The lights inside were off, and the house appeared dark and empty. I assumed they must have left the door open by mistake and had gone to bed. The day had been long, and my exhaustion clouded my judgment. I didn't think much of the open door and proceeded inside my own house. I was craving a simple comfort, so I poured myself a bowl of frosted flakes and turned on Netflix. The familiarity of my cozy living room, with its warm glow from the lamp and the soft hum of the television, was soothing. I watched a few episodes of my favorite show to unwind before bed. Despite my intention to get a good night's sleep, I found myself restless. My bedroom shared a wall with my neighbors, and as I lay in bed, I heard strange thumping noises coming from their side. My neighbors were usually quiet people, so any unusual noise from their house was unsettling. I hoped it wouldn't keep me awake and turned off the lights, settling into bed. Just as I was beginning to drift off, a loud, bone-chilling crash pierced through the silence. It sounded like someone had violently smashed my front door. My heart raced as I leaped out of bed and sprinted into the hallway. The sight that met me was alarming. Debris littered the floor and the front door hung wide open. Whoever had broken in was already gone. I could hear footsteps pounding through the living room, and I realized there was more than one person. Panic surged through me as I tried to retreat back to my bedroom. A man's voice suddenly commanded me to stop. I turned around to face two masked men, both wearing hoodies. One held a baseball bat, and the other wielded a metal tool, likely the instrument they had used to break in. They shouted orders at me, their voices harsh and threatening. I knew better than to resist. I dropped to the ground, trying to stay calm. One of the men pinned me down while the other began ransacking my house. He stuffed items into a backpack with frantic energy. I was terrified, my mind racing as I tried to reason with them. My pleas fell on deaf ears. The men seemed more focused on their looting, their frustration palpable. After a few minutes, the men, still grabbing items, became increasingly agitated. They ran to the window, their voices filled with urgency, then rushed back to me. They pushed me down again, their anger escalating. It became clear that something outside was making them anxious. They seemed ready to bolt, but their timing was off. Just as they attempted to escape through the back door, police officers surrounded the house. The burglars, caught off guard, surrendered almost immediately. It turned out they had also broken into my neighbor's house, who had called the cops upon discovering their own break-in. The police quickly secured the scene. The burglars were just ordinary guys trying to make a quick buck. Despite the smashed door and my bruises, I was relieved to be unharmed. The ordeal left me shaken. I couldn't understand why they had attacked me instead of fleeing, but I was grateful they were behind bars. It was the most terrifying experience of my life, but the relief of knowing they were caught helped me begin to process what had happened. A few months later, I decided to take a break from my hectic work life and enjoy a staycation. I had been living alone for several months, which had given me a newfound sense of freedom. However, my busy work schedule had prevented me from truly savoring the solitude and peace of my home. This week off was meant to be my chance to relax, unwind, and recharge. The second day of my staycation began with a promise of tranquility. I spent the morning lounging on the couch, indulging in some guilty pleasure TV shows and savoring the comfort of home-cooked meals. The day was progressing smoothly until I heard footsteps approaching my front porch. Initially, I dismissed it as a delivery or a passerby. The neighborhood was typically quiet, so any unusual sounds were rare but not unheard of. Minutes ticked by with no knock or doorbell ring, and my curiosity grew. With a mix of caution and intrigue, I made my way to the door, trying not to make any noise. Peering through the peephole, I saw a man in his mid-30s standing off to the side, scanning the surroundings as if searching for something. His demeanor made me uneasy. Rather than confront him, I decided to observe from the safety of indoors. The minutes seemed to drag on, and finally, the man abruptly departed, vanishing into the night. I felt a wave of relief but also a lingering sense of unease. I tried to push the encounter from my mind and continued with my day. Just as I was beginning to relax, a sharp knock shattered the evening's tranquility. My heart raced as I approached the door. To my dismay, it was the same man from earlier. His presence now felt menacing, and his request for assistance set off alarm bells in my mind. Instinctively, I refused, sensing something was off. His demeanor shifted from feigned civility to simmering rage. Ignoring my protests, he became increasingly aggressive. Fear gripped my heart as I hastily shut the door and retreated into the safety of my home. Through the peephole, I saw his anger escalate. His fists pounded against the door with growing intensity. In a panic, I dialed emergency services, my hands shaking as I prayed for a swift response. The seconds seemed to stretch into eternity as I waited for help. Then, without warning, a resounding crash echoed through the house. The intruder had made another attempt to break in. Racing toward the source of the disturbance, I found a scene of chaos. Glass shards littered the floor, a testament to the intruder's relentless efforts. Through the shattered window, I caught a glimpse of him, a chilling reminder of the danger just beyond my doorstep. Adrenaline surged through me as I fought to keep my composure, but the intruder's strength was overwhelming. In the midst of my desperation, a passerby, drawn by the commotion, came to my aid. With a final burst of defiance, I managed to break free from the intruder's grasp. He, sensing defeat, fled into the night, leaving behind shattered dreams and fractured illusions. The flashing lights of law enforcement pierced the darkness, bringing relief and safety. Despite their investigation, the police found no signs of forced entry. They speculated that I must have left the front door unlocked, a notion I found difficult to accept. The feeling of unease lingered like a shadow, haunting me in the days that followed. The memory of that night was a chilling reminder of the fragility of safety and the darkness that can lurk just beyond our doors. The experience left me unsettled, but I found solace in the support of loved ones. Their unwavering presence helped me navigate the aftermath of the ordeal. The quiet comfort of my home had been disrupted, but the sense of security provided by family and friends was a beacon in the storm. I returned to my routine, but the shadow of that night continued to loom over me. Work at the local warehouse, though monotonous and exhausting, provided a sense of normalcy. Each night blurred into the next as I toiled away amidst stacks of boxes and machinery. Despite the weariness that settled into my bones, the job was a necessary means to pay the bills. My home lay just a few miles away, a comforting haven after the long, grueling nights. One particularly dreary night, as I made my way home, all I could think about was collapsing onto my bed. The journey through the empty streets felt endless, each minute amplifying my longing for the comfort of sleep. I battled against the heavy fog of exhaustion clouding my mind. Finally, I arrived at my house and parked my car on the dimly lit street. With weary steps, I trudged toward the front door, my body aching for rest. Pushing open the door, I was greeted by the familiar warmth of my home. The soft glow of the hallway lights guided my way. As I ascended the staircase, I reached my bedroom, a sanctuary of solace awaiting me. I sighed with relief, shed my work clothes, and collapsed onto the soft mattress, allowing the comfort to envelop me. When I woke, it was to a world shrouded in darkness. Disoriented and groggy, I blinked away the remnants of sleep, struggling to make sense of my surroundings. The room was cast in shadows, the faint outlines of familiar objects barely visible. I glanced toward the window, expecting to see the first rays of dawn filtering through the curtains. To my surprise, the outside world remained cloaked in the darkness of night, indicating that only a short time had passed since I had retired to bed. As I shifted to roll over and return to sleep, a sudden realization jolted me awake. My bedroom door stood ajar, a sliver of darkness seeping into the room. Panic surged through me as I stared at the open doorway. I never slept with the door open. It was a habit ingrained in me, providing a sense of security. In my exhaustion, I couldn't recall whether I had left it open when entering the room. With trembling hands, I pushed back the covers and rose from the bed. My heart pounded in my chest, and every instinct screamed at me to flee, to seek refuge from whatever unseen danger might be lurking. Steeling myself, I approached the open door, my senses heightened and alert. The silence of the house pressed in on me, broken only by the soft sound of my own breathing. A sense of foreboding settled over me like a suffocating blanket. Just as I reached out to push the door shut, a faint noise echoed from the depths of the house. It was a subtle sound, barely audible above the hushed stillness of the night. My blood ran cold as I strained to discern its source. My mind raced with fear-fueled possibilities. For a moment, I stood frozen in place, paralyzed by the uncertainty of what lay beyond the threshold of my room. As the seconds ticked by, a surge of adrenaline flooded my veins, urging me to act. With a shaky breath, I forced myself to move, each step echoing loudly in the silence. I crept down the hallway, the darkness pressing in around me, suffocating and oppressive. When I reached the second bedroom, I hesitated before pushing open the door, my hand trembling with trepidation. The room lay shrouded in darkness, the air heavy with the weight of the unknown. As my eyes adjusted to the dim light, I saw him, a figure standing in the shadows, his presence ominous and menacing. Our eyes met, and in that moment, I recognized him without a doubt. Without a second thought, I slammed the door shut and locked it, my heart pounding fiercely. From the other side of the door, I heard the sound of hurried footsteps racing down the stairs and out into the night. With trembling hands, I reached for the phone and dialed the emergency number, my panic threatening to consume me. The authorities arrived swiftly, their presence a welcome relief after the night's terror. Despite their thorough investigation, no signs of forced entry were found. They speculated that I must have left the front door unlocked, a notion I struggled to accept. In the aftermath, I found solace in the embrace of loved ones. Their unwavering support was a beacon of comfort amidst the lingering shadow of fear. The memory of that night haunted me, a chilling reminder of the fragility of safety and the darkness that can lurk just beyond the threshold of our homes. The experience had forever altered my sense of security, leaving me with a heightened awareness of the dangers that can intrude upon our lives without warning. As I settled back into my routine, the trauma of those events remained with me. The safety of my home, once a haven of solitude and comfort, had been disrupted. But with time and the support of those around me, I began to find a new sense of normalcy. The quiet comfort of my home, though forever changed, continued to be a source of solace as I navigated the complexities of life in the wake of such a harrowing experience.